Hey guys, what is going on? It is Spherical here. We are back today with Psycho Pass Season 3, Episode 7. This is the second last episode of the show as of right now. Again, we will be done with this this season next week. I believe we will be having our fan votes. So what's happening is after the show's done, I talked about this in the latest Haikyuu reaction. The next series that will be coming after this will be taking over the time slot of this series and Haikyuu. So Haikyuu ends 1 week after Psycho Pass does. So Psycho Pass will be done next week. Although I guess for you guys on YouTube, Psycho Pass will be done on the same day or on the same week as Haikyuu. For you guys on Patreon, Psycho Pass will be done a week early. Regardless, on the same week that Haikyuu finishes, which is in 2 weeks at the time of recording this, we'll be having a fan vote for the anime that will be taking over again on Tuesdays and Fridays. So if you're watching this on YouTube, actually, well, no, if you're watching this on YouTube, there'll still be a week in between because, anyways, regardless, we will be having a show taking over on Tuesdays and Fridays. But anyways, again, that's neither here nor there because today we are still here to watch Psycho Pass. So, last time on, we learned a bit more about what's happening. There's 4 pieces of this plan. Joseph, sister, Nisa, and O'Brien all had a piece. O'Brien's still alive, apparently. Joseph is dead. The sister, again, Joseph and the sister, we find out we're just trying to, I mean, this plan seems like it was meant to highlight the problems with the what's happening with immigrants and stuff with the civil system and stuff, but it seems like that plan has kind of been hijacked in a way. Possibly it hasn't. Again, Heaven's Leap, what involvement do they have here, and specifically what's his name again, Tori. Again, it's names are tough with this season in particular, again, because there's only been 6 episodes. I know they've been double length, but there's still only been 6 episodes. There's been so much characters in this season that are new, so I'm still having a tough time remembering a lot of the names. But man, again, with only 2 episodes left, there's still, I feel like, a lot to go through, so I'm not sure if this whole conflict will be resolved in this season or not. Because we have this whole, 4-piece plan to deal with. We have Arata and Kei's family thing to deal with, which again I feel like is tied in with that. We have why the hell is Akane, like, there's so much stuff. This is stuff to do. I can't even talk. Let's start the episode. All right, Maiko had some like strong ass death flags going for her a lot of people did, but her especially. It was all set up just like the scene with Makishima and Akane and her friend when he was standing like at the top of the silo looking thing and he slit her throat, and Akane was supposed to shoot him, but she couldn't. It's like the same thing, but not really, because what's his name? I always keep forgetting. Tori had a gun. And they didn't have a weapon at all, so they couldn't do anything. I totally thought you were just going to shoot her in the head, and she would die there, and Kei would... I don't know what he would do, because he didn't have a weapon. But I thought she was going to die up until the last second, and then she was like, full counter that shit, no way am I dying today. And she pulled the most insane thing I've ever seen him. So, the second... I'm gonna have to look back, but I'm pretty sure the trigger was when he decided he was gonna. He pointed the gun at him, right? He pointed the gun at Kei, and Kei was like, shoot me instead of her. And then that's when she that switch just flipped in her head. So I guess that's kind of what made her do that. I think up until then she was probably resigned to just dying, but as a married couple would do, they both wanted to protect each other, right? I did not expect that whatsoever. Although, to be fair, the more I think about it, we don't know if she has any fighting experience or not. She may have fought when they went to wherever they went to, when she was blind, or when she turned blind from an explosion or something. So maybe she had some combat experience before. So did she get her eyesight back or not? Because back at the rehabilitation place, she had her eye wrap back on. So can she see again or not? I'm gonna go back and look. You know, I think she definitely still has her sight. I think it's just, I don't know, to recover, I guess, because her eyes are probably kind of recovering still, I suppose. Man. See, at this point, with only one episode left, I don't think everything's going to be wrapped up. I really don't. I don't think there's enough time. Unless the next episode's incredibly rushed, I expect to see... I don't think we're going to get the answer of what happened to Akane, for sure. I feel like that's a whole nother thing that it hasn't even been explored yet. So I feel like maybe that will be a prequel season. And maybe that would also include the the identities of, you know, Arata's father and Kei's brother, because I feel like those are things that just we only have one episode left and they've both barely been mentioned, right? Like, because keep in mind there's still two members of Bifrost left, two higher ups to deal with, like, and then ramping everything up and like, it's just, there's not enough time next episode, no way in hell. So the plot's going to continue in some way. I can guarantee you that. And again, our three main characters, I mean, they're not really our three main characters, especially not Mai, because she's very not a main character, but she's kind of like the three characters that I care about the most right now, the trio of characters that are trying to find out what happened to their family and stuff. They're all not doing very well right now. Arata is clearly in a mood. Like, he's obviously had to burden a lot of things, and he, you know, Kei kind of flipped on him for getting his wife involved, which again wasn't Arata's fault to begin with, but again, there's stuff weighing on him. We learned that he's criminally asymptomatic this episode, which, you know, I don't know if that's really much of a surprise. I feel like, you know, if you're important in this show, there's a good chance you're probably criminally asymptomatic, but we still don't know about Akane. Like, she never had a psychopath rating of 0. It's always been low, but just not 0. So I don't think she is criminally asymptomatic. I don't know. I don't know. But again, Arata, you know, Kei, I'm surprised Kei's actually doing all right now. I gotta think his numbers are getting up there. Of course, Mai's in, you know, she's her hue's clouded. She murdered somebody in self-defense, but it doesn't matter, especially in this system where you're just trained not to think on your own. Shooting somebody would weigh more heavily on these people than it would on us. Obviously, I'm not trying to say that me or you could walk up to somebody and shoot them and be okay with it, but I think, you know, I do think it'd be easier in this society where free will is the norm, or at least hopefully it is where you live. I guess it isn't in some places, but as opposed to the psychopaths, or at least Japan. Well, no, it's not just Japan, because we saw some foreign places that really run the same way as Japan does. But, you know, in this world where you don't think for yourself, right? So it's a lot tougher on the person. So even in self-defense, you know, it'll ruin a person. And I'm not saying that wouldn't happen in real life, of course. I'm not trying to say that taking a life is something that you'll just forget about the next day. Of course, that will also weigh on, I mean, I guess it depends on the person too. If you're a psychopath, I guess you wouldn't really care. But to be fair, it's no different than the psychopath's world in that respect. But yeah, everybody survived, which I'm really surprised about. I don't see anybody dying next episode, to be honest with you. I feel like everything's really wrapped up. Next episode just gonna truly finish off Bifrost, you know, wrap things up. I don't think it's gonna wrap everything up, like Akane, what happened to Akane, maybe about, you know, the family issues. I don't know if those things will be wrapped up. I think those might be saved for another story. But I don't see anything really too major happening next episode. I feel like the major stuff was this episode. Like, this was the climax, if you will, of the season. In my eyes, we'll see what happens next episode, of course. I could be wrong, but that's just what it seems like to me. Yeah, no, this season's done a really good job at intertwining things. Like, the first season was 99%, like they went all in on the Makishima idea of just his ideals, and that's what the season was about. It was mostly just about Makishima as a person, what he wanted, and the Sibyl system, and what they were, what the Sibyl system was, and the differences between the Sibyl system and Makishima, and also maybe some similarities. I feel like that's the ideals were what season 1 was about. Season 2, I feel like branched away from that, went to short, action, crime stuff, more dumbed down a little bit, but still there was a grand plot. This third season has just been just a bunch of threads that just keep intertwining and tangling each other, and there's just so many little crevices and stuff to explore. I've been really, really happy with this season. It's just been super in-depth, and a lot of, like, this one had the most mystery for sure. I will be the first to admit that I was batshit confused for quite a few episodes in this season, just not understanding what was happening. And that's because we were trying to figure out the case through the eyes of the inspectors. Now, to be fair, that's not something new to Psychopaths. Season 2 actually kind of felt kind of similar in that respect, where there were times where we were very confused as the viewer as to what was happening. But this season, I felt that more than ever. It just, up until like last episode, I would say nothing was clicking until, they realized that these 4 made the plan. They realized that these 4 weren't the ones kind of in charge of the plan currently. And then everything started to slowly just reveal itself. And it's like, okay, Tori's the one messing with them. And Tori's being manipulated by his mother, which, by the way, fuck those two. Tori and his mother, they got absolutely railed in this episode, okay? Tori, that smug little... Not only was he an asshole, but he was going to overthrow his mother. And I guessed it. I was kind of joking when I said it. But that's what he was going to do. He was going to take his mother's spot. And his mother was being used the entire time. But that doesn't make her innocent. I mean, she's in Bifrost for all we're concerned. She's done some terrible shit. And she was completely okay with everything that was happening. So she got turned on by her now dead son, who couldn't do anything to her. But because she was conspiring with him to take a spot on Bifrost and conspiring against the others, she got hyper beamed into nothing. She doesn't exist anymore. She doesn't even have any ashes left. She is gone. No trace left behind of that family whatsoever. They are gone off the face of this planet. I've never been happier. Amidst everything else that happened this episode, even the depressing stuff, I was gleaming from ear to ear, massive smile on my face. I was totally with what just happened there to those two. Actually, to be honest with you, the mother, we have no, there wasn't a whole lot with her. She just was using her son, and clearly she didn't care about him, right? Once they found out he was dead, she was like, oh, so what's new? You know what I mean? Like, she didn't care about her son at all. I'm guessing she probably would have just used him after he got a spot at the table. And she, as family, she would have assumed that he would listen to her. So she would have just used him until he died, really. But he pulled the switcheroo on her and plotted to have her taken out. Unfortunately, it ended up with both of them dying, which is, again, just the best case scenario there. Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of where we're at now. Not really a whole lot else to discuss. I think this was definitely the best episode of the season. This was kind of the highlight of the season. This was it. This was the big deciding moment. Again, it kind of goes back to the whole intertwining thing, but this episode had like 3 different plot lines at once. I think that's like the golden rule of any tense situation, is you have to have 3 different plot lines going on at once for it to be interesting, right? We had the bombing scenario with the governor that Aruto was at with O'Brien. We had Gino in his awesome fight with the sniper. And then we also had Kei and his wife dealing with Tori all at the same time. It always happens in the most tense moments where like it just there's so much suspense. We're going back and forth. It always cycles between three different conflicts at once. I'm not sure why that is, but it's a very common thing. I don't know if you've noticed it, but I really started to catch on after Infinity War. There was a video I watched on it that kind of highlighted why Infinity War was like a modern cinematic just masterpiece, which by the way, no, it wasn't. It was a good movie. I've always thought that the event or the Marvel series as a whole is just criminally overrated for what it is. I love the movies, but they're not the biggest masterpieces of all time. They're just movies that have a lot of very expensive actors that go together. Like that's what makes the movies awesome, is when you have all of these actors that group together for a movie and everybody loses their mind. The writing, everything thrown out the window. You just have all these cool characters that everybody likes. Okay, I'm bashing on Marvel for no reason. Infinity War was a good movie, but I had watched a video and it kind of talked about how, during the climax of the movie, we had those like three different main conflicts going on. If I remember correctly, there was the Thor's hammer stuff, which had like a that kind of cold kind of color palette to it. There was the fight with Thanos that was happening on that desert planet. And I can't remember what the other. Honestly, I haven't watched Infinity War since it came out, so I can't remember what else. But it's just something that I've noticed since I watched the video analyzing that scene. Is a lot of things happen in threes when it comes to multiple conflicts happening at once in a show, and I don't know. It's just something that I notice all the time now, and I just thought I'd bring that up. But I mean, yeah, how long has this discussion been going for? 14 minutes? I think it's probably time we leave this one off here. So, again, 1 week left. And again, for you guys on Patreon or on YouTube, I guess, our next series that we're watching after Psycho Pass won't be starting till 2 weeks after well, no. Yeah, 2 weeks after Psycho Pass is done. So it'll be a bit different because again, we have to wait for Haikyuu to finish first. So, yeah, that's how that's gonna work. So the fan vote will start a week after the last episode goes up. So if you guys want to vote there, you know what to do. But anyways, I'm gonna end this off here. So as always, if you guys want early access and or the full-length versions of these reactions, you can click that link down in the description. It'll take you to patreon.com/sphericalfilms, and you can check that out there. But with all of that out of the way, I do thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys all 1 week from today with the finale of Psycho Pass Season 3, and Psycho Pass as we know it for now. So, until then, peace out.